Why did the school counselor lock her office door during our routine check-in? Ms. Kendra Blakely reached behind me, turned the deadbolt on her office door. Quiet click made my stomach drop. Then she pulled out her phone, started taking photos of my arms. Before I could process what was happening, she'd been my guidance counselor at Northwood High for 3 years, handling my college application prep, schedule adjustments. We'd had probably 20 meetings in this same office. Nothing remotely like this had ever occurred. Her voice stayed calm, professional. She asked me to roll up my sleeves completely, turn my arms over slowly, documenting something I couldn't see, but she clearly could. When I asked what she was doing, she said we needed to have a serious conversation about my home situation. She needed visual documentation before we started. She was legally required to file a report, Child Protective Services, within the next 2 hours. I sat there in the chair across from her desk, watching her photograph my forearms, upper arms, multiple angles, completely confused about what was happening. I'd come in to discuss my early decision application to Cornell. Now apparently, CPS was getting involved in my life. I'd been living with my mother and stepfather, Russell Vaughn, for 6 years since Mom married him when I was 11. My biological father had died in a construction accident when I was 9, left Mom devastated, struggling financially. Russell had seemed like a gift at first, stable and successful. Regional sales manager for a pharmaceutical distribution company, traveled frequently, made good money. He'd moved into our modest house in the suburbs, paid off Mom's debts, gradually took over managing household finances, decisions. Mom had been grateful, relieved to have someone capable handling the adult responsibilities that had overwhelmed her as a widowed single parent. Russell was strict about rules and schedules. He'd explained this was necessary structure that I'd lacked after my father's death. He monitored my schoolwork closely, required detailed accounts of how I spent my time, established systems for everything, homework completion, household chores. At first, the structure had actually helped. My grades improved from B's and C's to straight A's under Russell's supervision. He'd created spreadsheets tracking my assignments, test scores, GPA, with formulas calculating exactly what grades I needed. He'd established a study schedule, blocked out specific hours for each subject, timers ensuring I spent adequate time on each task. He'd eliminated distractions, video games, social media, said these were privileges I could earn back once I proved I could maintain excellence without them. Mom praised him for caring, for being the father figure I needed. Teachers commented on my improved performance, but the rules had gradually expanded beyond academics into every aspect of my life. Russell required detailed schedules for any time outside the house, exact locations, contact information for whoever I'd be with, regular check-ins via text. He'd installed tracking software on my phone, monitored my location constantly, said this was normal parental oversight for safety. He controlled what I ate, created meal plans, called it optimization for athletic and academic performance, though I wasn't involved in any sports. He'd eliminated foods he deemed inflammatory, problematic, leaving me eating primarily lean proteins, vegetables, specific grains he'd researched. He weighed me weekly, tracking the numbers in another spreadsheet, adjusting my meal portions. If the scale showed variations he didn't approve of, the physical discipline had started subtly, escalated so gradually, I hadn't recognized it as abuse until Ms. Blakely started taking photos. Russell used what he called correction techniques when I violated rules, failed to meet standards. Initially, these were things like extra chores, loss of privileges. Over time, they'd evolved into physical punishments he framed as training exercises. If I missed a homework deadline, I'd have to hold a plank position for increasingly long periods, while he timed me. If I failed to check in during outings, I'd do wall sits until my legs shook, collapsed. He called this accountability, said physical consequences created stronger neural pathways about responsibility than mere verbal warnings. Mom had accepted this explanation. The punishments had intensified during my junior year. When academic pressure increased, Russell's correction techniques expanded to include him gripping my arms hard enough to leave marks. When he wanted to ensure I was paying attention during lectures about my failures, he'd hold my wrists, biceps, while explaining exactly what I'd done wrong, what needed to change, his fingers digging in with pressure that hurt. He'd say was necessary to cut through my obvious inability to listen properly. He'd squeeze until I acknowledged his points, until I repeated back his instructions, until he was satisfied. The bruises appeared in patterns I'd learned to hide with long sleeves, even in warm weather. Ms. Blakely set down her phone, walked to her desk drawer, pulled out a form I'd never seen before, and that's when she told me exactly what those patterns on my arms meant. Full story is linked below or on my channel.